Have you ever wondered whether the greatest mystery about Earth isn't on its surface at all, but hidden thousands of kilometers beneath our feet? For centuries, people have searched the skies for answers about humanity's origins. Yet one controversial interpretation of ancient Sumerian writings points in the opposite direction. According to this idea, Earth wasn't considered special because of its oceans, forests, or the life that eventually flourished here. Instead, it was supposedly selected because of what lay buried deep inside it. It's a fascinating claim that has inspired decades of debate, skepticism, and curiosity. Today we're exploring where that idea came from, why so many people continue to discuss it, and why mainstream scholars strongly disagree with its conclusions. Whether you see it as forgotten history, misunderstood mythology, or simply an intriguing story, by the end, you'll understand why this ancient mystery refuses to disappear. The story begins in ancient Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, where one of humanity's earliest civilizations emerged. The Sumerians appeared thousands of years ago and left behind something extraordinary. They developed one of the world's earliest writing systems, built remarkable cities, established legal traditions, advanced mathematics, and carefully recorded information on thousands of clay tablets. Their influence stretched so far that traces of their innovations still exist today, from the way we measure time to the way we divide a circle into degrees. When archaeologists uncovered the ruins of ancient cities such as Nineveh and Nippur, they didn't find a handful of inscriptions. They discovered enormous collections of tablets containing myths, business records, royal histories, religious hymns, astronomical observations, and everyday accounts of life. Even today, not every surviving tablet has been fully translated or carefully studied. That simple fact has fueled endless speculation, with some people wondering what forgotten stories might still be waiting inside museum archives around the world. Among the most discussed figures in Sumerian mythology are the Anunnaki. In the traditional scholarly understanding, these were divine beings who played important roles within the Sumerian religious system. Like many ancient civilizations, the Sumerians explained the origins of knowledge, agriculture, kingship, and civilization through the actions of their gods. To historians, this fits a familiar pattern found throughout human history, where cultures credited higher powers with teaching humanity the skills needed to survive. However, one modern interpretation challenged that traditional view entirely. During the 20th century, author Zecharia Sitchin argued that the stories recorded on these ancient tablets were not symbolic myths, but literal historical accounts. According to his interpretation, the Anunnaki were not gods in a spiritual sense, but an advanced civilization that arrived from another world. His books attracted millions of readers because they transformed ancient mythology into a dramatic alternative history involving advanced technology, planetary travel, and humanity's earliest beginnings. Central to Sitchin's theory was the idea of a distant world called Nibiru, described as following an extremely long orbit through our solar system. According to his interpretation, the inhabitants of this world faced environmental problems and required enormous quantities of gold to help preserve their atmosphere. Rather than searching for beautiful planets capable of supporting life, they supposedly searched for worlds rich in valuable resources. That is where Earth enters the story. According to this controversial reading, Earth wasn't remarkable because of its surface. It was valuable because of what existed below it. The claim suggests that explorers surveyed different worlds before choosing Earth specifically because its interior contained extraordinary deposits of precious metals, especially gold. In this interpretation, our planet resembled a valuable mining site more than a future home for civilization. Interestingly, modern geology acknowledges one important detail that often becomes part of this discussion. Scientists believe that much of Earth's original gold sank toward the planet's core, while the young Earth remained molten billions of years ago. The gold humans mine today represents only a tiny fraction that later reached the crust through asteroid impacts and complex geological processes. In other words, the overwhelming majority of Earth's gold is believed to remain locked deep within the planet, completely beyond our reach. Supporters of Sitchin's ideas point to this scientific fact as an intriguing coincidence. They argue that both modern geology and their interpretation of the tablets describe Earth's greatest concentration of gold as lying beneath the surface. Mainstream scientists, however, see no connection between geological processes and ancient mythology, emphasizing that natural planetary formation fully explains the distribution of these metals. The story becomes even more dramatic when it introduces two prominent figures from Sumerian tradition, Enki and Enlil. Within mythology, these are powerful deities with different responsibilities and personalities. In Sitchin's interpretation, however, Enki becomes a brilliant scientific leader, while Enlil serves as the authority responsible for overseeing operations on Earth. According to this interpretation, the initial workforce assigned to mining eventually grew exhausted by the harsh conditions. Unable or unwilling to continue the difficult labor, they supposedly rebelled against their leaders. Faced with this crisis, the leadership decided to create a new workforce capable of performing the demanding tasks required. This is where the theory connects ancient mythology with the origin of humanity. Supporters suggest that the tablets describe combining the essence of the newcomers with life already developing on Earth, eventually producing human beings. They believe this account later influenced familiar creation stories found in other religious traditions. They point to similarities involving humanity being formed from clay, the repeated use of plural language in certain ancient texts, and stories describing divine beings interacting directly with early humans. Most historians strongly reject this interpretation. They argue that similar creation stories appear across many cultures because they reflect common human questions about existence rather than historical events. Shared themes do not necessarily indicate shared history. Instead, they often reveal universal patterns in human imagination and storytelling. The same debate appears when discussing the ancient flood narrative. Long before later religious texts were written, Sumerian literature already contained accounts of a catastrophic flood and a chosen survivor instructed to preserve life. For many scholars, these stories likely reflect memories of devastating regional floods, combined with religious symbolism. Alternative theorists, however, see them as evidence that later traditions borrowed from a much older historical record. Perhaps the most controversial part of the entire theory is the suggestion that humanity itself was never the primary objective. According to this interpretation, humans were simply a consequence of a much larger project focused on Earth's hidden resources. The surface world, including civilization itself, becomes almost secondary. The true prize supposedly remained buried far below, hidden within the planet's inaccessible interior. This idea completely reverses the way most people naturally think about Earth's importance. We usually imagine our planet as precious because of its abundant life, diverse ecosystems, and remarkable habitability. The alternative theory asks us to imagine that life itself was merely an unexpected side effect of a search for underground wealth. Despite its popularity, nearly every professional Assyriologist rejects Sitchin's translations. Specialists who spend their careers studying cuneiform writing argue that many of the words he interpreted carry entirely different meanings within their historical context. They maintain that Nibiru referred to a celestial point or astronomical object, known to ancient observers, rather than an undiscovered planet. Likewise, they interpret the Anunnaki as members of the Sumerian pantheon instead of extraterrestrial visitors. These criticisms are detailed and based on decades of linguistic research. Scholars argue that Sitchin frequently selected unusual definitions for ancient words while overlooking more widely accepted translations. From an academic perspective, his conclusions are not supported by the original language itself. Yet the theory continues attracting new audiences year after year. Part of the reason lies in the genuine achievements of the Sumerians. Their civilization appears remarkably advanced for its time. Their astronomical observations, mathematical systems, architectural accomplishments, and detailed written records naturally inspire wonder. Even though historians explain these achievements through centuries of cultural development, trade, and accumulated knowledge, many people still find themselves asking how such remarkable progress emerged so early. Another reason involves our own limited understanding of Earth's interior. Humans have explored distant planets with robotic spacecraft, photographed galaxies billions of light years away, and mapped much of the Moon and Mars in extraordinary detail. Yet the deepest hole ever drilled into Earth barely scratched the planet's outer crust. Compared to Earth's total radius, Humanity has explored only an incredibly thin layer beneath the surface. Everything below remains largely inaccessible. Scientists rely on seismic waves, laboratory experiments, and sophisticated computer models to understand what lies beneath us. Those methods have revealed a dynamic world of molten rock, immense pressure, flowing metals, and a solid inner core hotter than the surface of the sun. While researchers continue refining this understanding, no human has ever directly observed these regions. That reality alone gives the ancient story unusual emotional power. Regardless of whether the tablets describe mythology or misunderstood history, they remind us that the greatest unexplored frontier may exist directly beneath our feet rather than somewhere among the stars. Of course, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and no convincing evidence demonstrates that Earth served as an ancient extraterrestrial mining operation. Modern archaeology, geology, astronomy, and linguistics overwhelmingly support natural explanations for the phenomena discussed in these stories. The consensus among experts remains clear. Yet myths often survive because they ask compelling questions, rather than because they provide correct answers. Why did the earliest civilizations place such importance on knowledge descending from above? Why do flood stories appear in so many cultures? Why does humanity continually imagine hidden worlds beneath the surface? And why are we so fascinated by the possibility that our ancestors understood something we've forgotten? Perhaps those questions matter more than any single theory. Whether the Sumerians recorded literal events, symbolic religious beliefs, or poetic attempts to explain their world, they left behind one of history's greatest intellectual treasures. Their clay tablets continue inspiring conversations thousands of years after they were pressed into wet earth. Few civilizations have achieved that kind of lasting influence. The most intriguing lesson may not involve aliens, hidden planets, or buried treasure at all. Instead, it reminds us how much remains unknown. The vast majority of Earth's interior still exists beyond direct human exploration. Our understanding grows every year, but mysteries remain. Ancient people looked at the same world and asked profound questions about what lay beneath them. Today, despite all our technological progress, we continue asking many of those same questions. Maybe the greatest mystery isn't whether Earth was chosen for what lies inside it. Maybe the real mystery is why humanity has always been drawn toward the hidden, the unseen, and the unexplored. The oldest written civilization left behind stories pointing our attention beneath the surface, while modern science continues uncovering remarkable truths about the planet from entirely different directions. Those paths may never fully intersect, but together they remind us that curiosity has always been one of humanity's defining strengths. As long as questions remain buried beneath our feet, stories like these will continue capturing our imagination, inviting each new generation to wonder what secrets still lie hidden in the depths of the world we call home.